Honestly, it's surreal. Pinching myself, but I'm going to be very, very, very honest with you. I did Color Purple on Broadway years ago. I think 2007. And I said that I would never do it again. I did. Celie's role is very taxing. It's not the easiest. But at the time, I was carrying my cross and hers. My life was not where it should have been. I was young. And so I couldn't let go of the character. Plus, this is my first time acting. I come from music. All of my castmates, Juilliard, studied this. They took me from the music world and placed me in, and I couldn't understand why at the time. But now I see why. I am Celie.
Amazing.
Thank you. That made it even heavier for me to do it this time because I'm thinking these are some big wigs. These are some legends. They have created a legacy for themselves. And so the fact that they trusted all of my I call them family, all of my family to do something like this, we all decided we got to go in and we can't play. We can't half step. I had to learn how to tap dance. That was hard. There were gruesome hours. There was live singing on set. And singing is my thing, but not at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. But you keep thinking about the director, Blitz. You think about Oprah, what this means to her, Scott Sanders, Spielberg, Quincy Jones, and it makes you want to bring your A game.
I just never saw myself doing it. It's funny because years ago, I was tapped to do Shug on Broadway, and I chose. I said, no, I can't do it. Stephen Bray, who did the music for Broadway, also did the music for our film. And he tapped me years ago because he's married to Stephanie Elaine, who produced Hustle and Flow. So, I sang in Hustle and Flow. So when when the Color Purple was going into production on Broadway, she, of course, spoke to her husband and was like, why don't you call Taraji? And I was like, yeah, no. Like, singing on a rap track is a hook. You sing it once really good and then they loop it. Shug, she sang gospel, she sang jazz, and she sang blues. Very different from a rap hook. A hook on a rap song. Goodness, listen, when you're dreaming, you're not dreaming of being on a B or D list. You want to be with the best. So I feel like, my dreams are coming true because it keeps getting better and better. Listen,
the load that they have to carry as black women.
I hate that society pits women against each other because we are so much more powerful together. We really are. And I have great friends in my life that I've had. My best friend I've had since the 7th grade. I'm 53. Yeah, since the 7th grade. And we've been besties since the 7th grade. So that sister circle, I actually, when I get with my girls, I'll be like, I feel sorry for women who don't have this. Like, how are they making it in this world? It's very important to me. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
This is a dream come true for me. I did this on Broadway for a year in 2015. It was the first Broadway show I saw in 2005 at 15 years old. And so it's a full circle moment for me to get the baton passed by Oprah herself. It's not a small task at all. They're the biggest shoes I think anyone could ever fill when it comes to American cinema, because it's like one of the most iconic roles ever, and she did such a phenomenal job doing that. So yeah, I'm really grateful. I mean, my heart is so full. I mean, the cool coolest part was when Oprah called me personally, or Zoomed me personally, to say, I'm passing the baton to you. Her saying it was all in agreement, that they all, Quincy and Steven and Scott Sanders, all said, you are the one. That was, brought me to tears. I think if you have a heartbeat, this is for you, because at the end of the day, the lessons that you'll learn in The Color Purple are fundamental to just living life every day, trying to make it through with one foot in front of the other. So it doesn't matter what color, what race, or that's the same thing, but what race and gender and class you come from. This is a story for any human being that needs healing. Thank you.
Beautiful. You feel like you're part of it's a legacy project, really, because it's like it's passed off from the book to the film to the stage musical, and now we have sort of a hybrid of all of it and all the reimaginings of it. It feels like I don't know. I couldn't have dreamed to be a part of a project like this. It's too big, actually. I feel like this is actually too big to dream, but it's magnificent when you're able to be a part of something you feel like is really going to change people's lives. You know what I mean? I feel like I really do feel like this, because it's the source material of Alice Walker's book, that it's really about like watching someone triumph over such trauma. And for me to play the person who inflicts so much trauma is harrowing. And I want to make sure that I help people understand how hurt people. So it's to not just villainize Mr., but to actually show a human part of him and understand why he's doing what he does. You know, yes, are you kidding me? The idea that, like, let's say Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, and Quincy Jones, and then you have my cast members, Fantasia and Taraji P. Henson, and Corey Hawkins and Danielle Brooks. I'm working with the best of the best, and people who really approach the work in such an extraordinary way. Really, it's really like, it's an embarrassment of riches. How am I going to get them in cinema? Because it's necessary. It's a necessary film. It's entertaining. It's the imagination has just gone wild. It's about the human heart and how we can all triumph over such tragedy and heartache. It's about friendships. It's about family.
Can you, in words? I don't know, but you can, when you watch the film, the feeling that you get of watching this movie is the feeling that I get doing it, and the joy that I had putting into it. I mean, honestly, from the moment I found out that I got it, I knew that weight, I knew that responsibility was on our shoulders, and it was game time. And we had our marching orders. Alice Walker, she wrote me the most incredible note about being her Harpo and what that means for this generation of people. And I felt that, and I understood what was needed to be done. And so I'm just glad to join forces with this incredible cast. You know, I mean, just what more could a guy ask for? I'm lucky. A little bit. Do a little two-step here and there, Harpo. And what's crazy about that, and shout out to Fatima, our incredible choreographer, the legend, is that all of those movements they came from, you know, the things that we do now came from somewhere. Like that is our song, our movement is our song, our voice, you know. And so we're people of joy, and so it was just great to be able to find that and live in that and loving that. So yeah, huge. I mean, but it's not just the names that are massive, it's just the amount of support that each one of them gave us throughout this process. If we needed anything, we could and did reach out. And the most important thing for me, I remember I was telling Oprah this the other day, but just looking, I remember, you know, just one day on set, we were around a tree and just looking over her and watching her eyes, because Harpo's an observer, but I'm an observer as well. And watching her eyes and watching her rediscover the color purple all these years later was so beautiful. So we were talking about it, and she was just like, oh, but it means a lot that someone whose life sort of also is revolves around that. She said all things purple, all things divine. It's a real thing. The color purple.
It was just
Seeing.
amazing how open and giving she
Yeah.
was.
Well, I mean, it really started with, my team going, they are reimagining The Color Purple, and, me going, I don't know why, because I'm just really curious about what you can actually contribute to this brilliant canon of work, So for me, I just had to go back to Alice Walker's work, and I had to go, what hasn't been done yet? And I felt like that imaginative quality and piece where, the first line is Dear God, which to me, anyone who's writing letters to God must have an imagination. So it made it very easy for me to find ways into it just to justify our reason for being. The music was critical. The music was central to everything. The music became like the emotional bed that we built everything off of. We were lucky to inherit a lot of great music from Broadway, but we had to shake it up. We had to make it more cinematic. We had to hire an incredible cast of characters to make it less Broadway and more lived in. And so I think that's kind of how we worked our way through it. Well, it's a lot of people's baby, but yes, I would, I would represent that brilliant group of people. I mean, I'm excited that, the world gets to experience The Color Purple again, and I'm really excited that it's going to really bring back a lot of great emotion and also great conversation, because I mean all the things that The Color Purple talks about are still incredibly prevalent today.
I had the good fortune of Alice Walker gave me her blessing 25 years ago to adapt her Pulitzer Prize winning novel into a stage show for Broadway. And that began my journey, and I had no idea how it would go, how long it would go, how it would work out. And so after producing that on Broadway and then coming over here to London and John Doyle discovering Cynthia Erivo as Celie at the Meunier Chocolate Factory, which knocked everybody on the floor. And when Cynthia was so brilliant, I said, we need to bring you to New York. So we brought the show back to New York and brought Jennifer Hudson and Danielle Brooks with her to play it on Broadway, and won a Tony and a Grammy and an Emmy. And then I thought I would be done. And then I was talking to Oprah Winfrey, and we were talking about how this story is so universal and that people around the world need to see this and experience the joy, the uplifting triumph over adversity story, the healing that comes with it, the pure entertainment that is this timeless classic that Alice Walker wrote. And so we started noodling around and said, what if we got the band back together to make a new movie? Not a remake, but a newly imagined movie. So Steven Spielberg, Quincy Jones, Oprah Winfrey, and me said, okay, let's start working on a screenplay. Marcus Gardley wrote this screenplay that started to bring magical realism into the story, and music and dance. And the magical realism allowed us to go inside of Celie's imagination. And it's certainly unlocked a new way of telling it that was fresh and in no way competed with the other versions. In many ways, it just adds to the canon of The Color Purple, what Blitz Bazawule loves to say, the Color Purple multiverse. So Blitz Bazawule was the secret sauce. He came in, this genius man came in, this filmmaker, and he saw it from 30,000 feet, how to make this movie fresh, entertaining, moving, mind-blowing. And that's where we're at. So we're all really lucky. And then the cast and the in front of the camera talent and behind the camera talent, they came together to make this as a film of love, about love, second to none.